The tale begins with the story of a kid whose father died in his childhood, when he and his sister reached an age where they began to mature. His mother told her son that if he didn't become a shaman, he would be struck down with a great disaster one day. But after some years, he could not comply with her ridiculous demands and started working hard at school as a show of defiance. After 10 years, he died in a car accident but surprisingly was born again, and everything his mother told him seemed true. Now he is a professor at a magic academy. One day, a man named Ludger gets on a train where he meets Jared in cabin 403, and they talk that the civil war in the kingdom of Uther is finally over. Jared was going to the empire's capital Lindabelheim, but Ludger was headed to Riederbach because he was given a position at the Exilian Empire's Soren Academy. Jared got surprised to know that and thought Ludger must be very talented to get him into the academy. Ludger tells Jared about the rumor that the royal princess won the civil war because of a wandering mercenary named Machiavelli. But Jared doesn't seem surprised to hear this. Suddenly a blast happened, and Jared realized that the train got attacked by some bandits, and there would be a mage among them because they managed to attack an arcane-engineered train. A bandit entered their car by breaking the window and tried to attack Ludger, but he temporarily paralyzed him using magic. Ludger attempted to question the bandit, but he blew himself up with the bomb. After the smoke dispersed, Jared saw that Ludger blew out with the blast. Jared realized that his mask, which he spent a fortune to make, got damaged and removes it. Jared was involved in many incidents that caused him to assume a new identity rather often, and Machiavelli was one of his many aliases. The royal princess's army was drunk off the news of the victory, and he took the chance to assume a new alias to head toward Linderbune on the arcane-engineered train, which got attacked by the bandits. Suddenly the captain of the train arrives there, asks Machiavelli if he is okay, and tells him that they are evacuating the passengers. Still, Machiavelli starts choking him because he knows that the bandits were helped from inside the train. Machiavelli was going to inquire Captain, but suddenly gunshots were fired towards them, and Machiavelli sat down, but the captain got killed. The bandits tried to shoot Machiavelli, but he caused their guns to malfunction by using magic spells. Meanwhile, a mage from bandits casts a counterspell and tells Machiavelli to give up, but he jumps off the train. The mage knows that Machiavelli is on the train's roof, so he orders his men to kill him. They start shooting toward the rooftop to kill Machiavelli, but he runs towards the caboose and separates the cars to escape. The bandit mage says he has memorized Machiavelli's face, so he'll find and kill him. Suddenly the mage feels an intense surge of mana and turns back to see Machiavelli standing there. Machiavelli blows them with a single attack and the mage gets severely injured. Firstly, Machiavelli planned to disappear quietly, but that was only if the mage hadn't seen his face, and knowing that the mage would come after him even if he ran away, he decided to kill him. Shockingly, the mage got cut in half by the attack of Veronica, Knight of Cold Steel. The Knights of Cold Steel kill all the bandits in cabin 1, 2, and report to Vice Captain Veronica that they secured the entire train. Veronica tells them to escort the passengers safely to the next stop. At the Riederbach station, Veronica introduces herself to Machiavelli, and while they are talking, Officer Lemlis from Riederbach's Metropolitan Police Agency arrives there. He tells Veronica that someone on board the train might have been an accomplice in this terrorist attack, so he needs to identify the passengers to send them along their way. Machiavelli thinks he is in trouble because he is not Jared right now, and he no way looks like a man in his 40s. Lemlis checks the guest logs that there is a man named Ludger Cherish in his 20s and a man named Jared in his 40s in cabin 403. Lemlis thinks Machiavelli is Ludger and asks him about the other guest Jared. Machiavelli tells him that the attack swept away Jared, and he fell towards the cliff of Erret Mountain. Veronica tells Lemlis that Ludger was fighting terrorists before they got to rescue the train, and they both get shocked to know that he is the new professor at Soren. Machiavelli thanks them for arriving him comfortably at the station, and while Ludger is leaving there, an employee named Wolford of the Soren Academy stops him because he is there to take him to the academy. Machiavelli feels that Wolford seems like a knight, and if he tries to escape now, he might chase him down. Machiavelli thinks it's safer to act like Ludger Cherish for the time being and wait for his chance to escape from there. They reach the Soren Academy, where Wolford took him to the president's office, and the president Elissa Willow told Ludger that she was waiting for him. Elissa asks Ludger how he feels because she heard about the incident, and Ludger tells her he is okay. Elissa shows Ludger their contract and tells him their contract term will be 2 years. Ludger gets shocked to read that his monthly salary is 30 imperial gold coins, which is about 300k in USD. Ludger understands their expectations from a professor are as high as the salary and wonders if he can handle himself among all the geniuses at Soren. Ludger has life experience, and he is not short on theoretical knowledge either, so he thinks he can impersonate the professor and sign the contract thinking that he'll be free if he lasts 2 years. They gave an entire house to Ludger, and it's 3 weeks until the semester starts, so he has enough time to prepare. Ludger's character has suitable conditions to hide Machiavelli's identity because Ludger was from a tiny kingdom quotient. His parents passed away, and the letters he exchanged with his acquaintances were all formal. 2 weeks later, Ludger was sitting in the cafeteria, done with all the preparation for his classes. Suddenly a girl arrives there and sits on the table behind him. She tells Ludger they are worried about him because it's been 2 weeks since he came, and didn't contact them. Machiavelli realizes that they are here for Ludger and starts playing along. Ludger asks her if she took care of what she was supposed to do, and she says that she assassinated all the targets at the academy and killed the traitor within their organization. Ludger feels she is scared of her because she calls him First Order. Ludger asks how many of their people have gathered, and she says that 31 Third Orders and 7 Second Orders have succeeded in infiltrating, and the other First Orders have arrived as planned and settled in. Ludger leaves there, saying he'll decide when they'll meet next. However, he can't understand what is happening and thinks it's ridiculous. After going home, Machiavelli was furious that he should have suspected Ludger's conditions looked ideal because they were made up to attack the academy. The letters Machiavelli found in Ludger's bag contain encrypted messages. Machiavelli knows that he has to give orders like Ludger. Machiavelli understands that the secret society is organized into 0 to 3rd Order, but he has no leads on the 0 Order. The important thing for him is to find out the other First Orders because they'll know he is fake if they were an acquaintance with Ludger. Machiavelli plans to swipe them out using Siren because they'll never be able to match Siren's power if they make a move, and for that, he has to leak information on both sides without getting caught. The following week, classes start, and second-year students discuss that the Materialization and Element Manipulation course has a new professor. The previous professor quit because he was outskilled by a student Flora in front of other students. Meanwhile, Ludger enters the class with an intimidating personality and announces that he'll teach beyond theories and focus on practical application. The first year can also sign up for his class because, as an educator, he believes everyone should be taught equally regardless of their grade. Lastly, he warns the students that they'll not get an easy A in his class and asks if anyone has a question. No student dares to ask him a question, so he leaves, closing the opening ceremony, and while he is leaving, a new professor, Selena, stops him and offers lunch. Ludger meets Brino, who teaches Gollum, and Merida, who teaches Charm and Visions, while heading towards the cafeteria. Ludger sees Professor Chris there, and Merida tells him that Chris is from a noble family while they are commoners. They are all new professors, and Ludger feels a chance that there is another First Order among them. Chris looks down on them and leaves there, saying that he doesn't want to hang out with commoners, and after he leaves, the others go to have lunch. On the other hand, the girl Ludger met in the cafeteria tried to get as many students as she could to sign up for Ludger's class by posting about his achievements. The next day, it was the first day of the class, and he gets shocked to see that all the 80 seats were filled with students. He introduces himself again and says that he'll be teaching the overall process of materialization. A student asks whether he means the 4 specialties by the overall process, but he warns them that they can only ask questions when he allows them. And this time he let it go because it's the first time. He says that he'll teach the 4 specialties, including materialization, elemental manipulation, telekinesis, and fortification that make up conjuration. He shows them a 3rd circle elemental fire magic, rolling flame, and tells them that he'll teach them to manifest the formula 3 times faster than the traditional method. Flora thinks it's only possible if he changes the fundamental structure of the formula or if he uses a magic scroll or reverberation of memory, but both have drawbacks. He clarifies that he will not tamper with the formula, and suddenly Flora raises the question that it's only possible to increase the manifestation time. He tells Flora that he didn't recall opening the floor for comments, but asks her why she thinks it's impossible. Flora says that the only way to reduce the formula's manifestation is through repeated proficiency, which no one has ever managed to do. Ludger says there is room for improvement and advancement in magic, and he'll be the first to do so. He asks Flora about the average time it takes to create rolling flame. Flora says it takes 5 seconds at best, but she can do it much faster. He asks her to come down and demonstrate her skill for the class. Flora agrees and creates the rolling flame in 4.78 seconds, but Ludger says that she is too slow because the 3rd circle mage's fastest record was 4.41 seconds, which is also slow, according to him. He instantly creates rolling flame, and everyone gets shocked that it only took him 0.24 seconds to do so. He explains that he didn't use the rolling flame technique, but he used a technique for the technique and input the values to obtain an immediate output. He explains that this technique utilizes the biological hardware of the mage consuming data, otherwise known as mana. The technique is the program that it runs and manifests software that they understand to be magic. He called this a source code, and this way, he answered Flora's question. He gave 10 penalty points to Flora for rudely interrupting the class. However, but he also gave her 10 points because her technique was perfect, and he didn't hate skilled students. Flora gets back to her seat, and Cheryl asks if she is okay, to which Flora replies she is okay, but in reality she is not. He says the source code will be taught to the students he'll handpick based on how well they keep up with the class. After the bell rings, Ludger leaves, telling them to review what they learned today. After the class ends, Jevon, the eldest son of Baron Pelliot, looks down on Aiden for being a commoner, and while he is insulting him, Leo stops Jevon by mocking that his family lives on the outskirts of the Empire. Jevon wants to attack him, but Leo warns him to go ahead and see what happens if he attacks in front of so many people because Storn won't let this slide even if he is a noble. Jevon leaves there, saying that he'll see them later. Aiden thanks Leo, and while Leo is leaving, Aiden decides to go with Leo to their next alchemy class. Leo warns Aiden not to make it evident that he is a commoner and tells him he needs to know how second years are because some are powerful. Leo tells Aiden to be careful of Flora Lumos because she has a terrible personality, and Irender von Exilian, the third princess, and a direct descendant from a noble lineage of the Exilian Empire. Leo also warns him of Freud Wahlberg, who also runs the most powerful faction at Soren, and Jevon is also a part of that. He thinks that the framework of this world is based around the 19th century, which doesn't compare to the scientific advancements of the 21st century. That's why he combined the source code with magic, and he had no idea that the students would react so positively. Machiavelli can use magic more quickly and accurately, but the Ludger character is a third circle mage, so he cannot keep relying on this source code, and he has to be more discreet so that no one gets suspicious. Ludger enters his private office and gets shocked to see the president waiting there. She tells Ludger that she agrees with her teaching method without dividing the class into grades. He thinks, whenever he made eye contact with her, his body feel itchy. In his mind he is thinking, even if he faced a ghost in middle of the night, he wouldn't be surprised. And when I opened the door, why you are here? Then she say Professor Ludger was last. He thought, why he is last? Perhaps she noticed something, and suspected me. And in his mind he is saying it's unfair for me. I don't belong to the secret society, but I am the secret society executive? She said there is few newcomers use irregular magic. There is a princess in his class, so he must be careful that there are no problems. After Alyssa leaves Ludger's office, Wolford asks if they can trust Professor Ludger. Alyssa has been watching everyone she finds suspicious but hasn't dug up anything significant yet. Alyssa tells Wolford that she used her magic eye of bewitching twice on Ludger, and Alyssa knew he wouldn't have been able to resist it as a fourth circle mage, but he resisted the power of the eye, using his sheer willpower. Alyssa knows about the terrorist attack on the train and the secret group hiding within Soren, so she decides to remain vigilant and not let anything go unnoticed. She wonders if the train incident was a cover-up for the opportunity to switch one person with another, so they decided to keep an eye on Ludger. Meanwhile, he goes through the list of students, and Aiden seems familiar to him. He knows that the president doesn't trust him and wonders if it would be better for him to join hands with the secret society. He remembers that the girl from the secret society called him First Order and thinks that she knew what he looked like, and she naturally accepted that he had changed his appearance. Ludger shook off the idea of joining the secret society because he was unsure what the organization's contributors would do if he got caught. Suddenly a staff of Soren gives Ludger his patrol ticket and tells him it's his duty today. Meanwhile, Twyma picks up a fight with Lynn and tells her to leave the training room because she is a commoner, but Lynn ignores her. Twyma gets furious and attacks her with magic, but suddenly Ludger destroys her attack and saves Lynn. Ludger says he couldn't let it slide because it was a one-sided attack and tells Twyma to come with her, but she replies that he is just a fallen noble, to which Ludger turns back with a scary look and asks her what she just said. Twyma gets terrified and Ludger starts walking toward her. Meanwhile, Professor Selena runs towards Ludger because she thinks he will attack Twyma, but Ludger puts his hand on Twyma's shoulder. He tells her she is right about him, but at Soren he is a professor, and he understands that it's difficult for Twyma to adapt to this new environment. He lets her mistake slide with a warning, but she'll receive disciplinary action for her behavior toward her class fellow. After knowing Lynn is alright, Ludger tells Selena to take care of things there and leaves. Ludger went outside because he was not feeling well and he took out the last bottle of his medicine, which would only last him 5 days. The next day, while having lunch, Selena tells Ludger, the students who left previous night, they saw a werewolf roaming on the rooftops, but he thinks it's a myth. Merida tells Ludger that she heard about her source code method and everyone is interested in his type of magic. Selena says that he can get a patent from the magic tower for this technique, but Ludger says that he doesn't know what he'll do if the magic tower approaches him first. But the problem is that the other professors started shooting fires at him with their eyes. At night, Ludger is roaming in the streets waiting for someone, and suddenly a werewolf tries to attack him, but he dodges and asks him if he kept him waiting to play a joke on him. Werewolf calls Machiavelli his brother, and tells him to act slightly surprised, as they meet after a long time.